Hey, welcome back. Today we're diving into something every single driver deals with every single day: intersections. Getting these right can be the difference between a totally smooth ride and a really stressful one. So whether you're brand new to driving or you've been doing it for years, let's break down how to master the crossroads together.
Okay, let's just be real for a second. A scene like this, it can be a lot to take in. It's this web of roads all crossing over each other, and every single one of those cars has a different destination in mind. This is exactly where things can get chaotic. And that's why we have traffic rules, to bring a predictable, safe order to all of this. And really, it all comes down to this one super important question: who gets to go first? I mean, knowing the answer isn't just about following rules. It's the absolute key to driving through any intersection with confidence and, most importantly, with safety. So, let's get into it. How is that order actually established? You can think of it like a really clear set of instructions, designed so that every single driver knows exactly what to do, turning what looks like a complicated mess into a smooth, predictable flow of cars. It all starts with something called the hierarchy of control. It's basically a ladder of who's in charge. At the very, very top, a traffic officer. Whatever they signal, that's what you do, period. If there's no officer, you look to the traffic lights. No lights, you follow the traffic signs. And if there are no signs at all, that's when you fall back on the general priority rules. Just remember, you always follow the highest authority that's there. So, what happens when there are no cops, no lights, and no signs? Well, that's when it's all on you, the driver. You have to know the code. This is where we get into those fundamental priority rules that run the show at any uncontrolled intersection. And the first, most basic rule of all is this one: vehicles that are going straight get to go before vehicles that are turning. It's really that simple, and it clears up who has the right of way in a ton of different situations. Okay, here's that rule in action. Look at this. Vehicle A wants to make a left turn, but Vehicle B is just going straight on through. Because straight has priority, Vehicle A has to wait. They have to let B clear the intersection completely before they can make their turn. It's a simple rule, but it prevents one of the most common types of accidents out there. All right, let's build on that with our second rule. This one applies when you've got two vehicles traveling side by side. And honestly, the logic is exactly the same. The car that's holding its straight line gets priority. You see this scenario all the time, right? Both cars are pointed in the same direction, but car A wants to change lanes or maybe make a turn. Car B, though, is just cruising straight ahead. The rule is crystal clear. Car B has the right of way. Car A has to yield and wait until it's safe to move. Now, let's talk about a special kind of intersection, one that's specifically designed to keep traffic moving: the roundabout. And you know what? They work amazingly well, as long as everybody follows one simple golden rule. This is it. This is the one rule you have to burn into your brain for roundabouts. If a car is already in the circle, they own it. They have the right of way. And you, as the driver who's about to enter, you always have to give way to them. And here's what that looks like. The white car, B, is already in the flow. The red car, A, is just pulling up. Car A absolutely positively has to stop and wait for car B to go past. It's that simple act of yielding that keeps the traffic flowing and, stops people from crashing into each other. Okay, so we've got straight, we've got turning, we've got roundabouts, but what about something a little more complex? How do all these priority rules work when a driver decides they want to make a full 180-degree U-turn at an intersection? Right. When you decide to pull a U-turn at an intersection, you are taking on pretty much all the responsibility. You've got the lowest priority of anyone. As you can see here, you have to yield to everybody. You've got to yield to car B that's turning, and you especially have to yield to oncoming traffic like car C. You can only go when that intersection is totally, completely clear. So we've covered a lot of rules here, but there's one guiding principle that overrides every single one of them, and that's safety first. Because there are going to be times where having the right of way doesn't mean a thing if there's a chance of an accident. But what happens when things get murky? The real world isn't always as clean as these diagrams. What if you and another driver pull up to a four-way stop at the exact same second? What do you do then? This is where being a smart, cooperative driver is everything. Try to make eye contact. It's amazing what a simple head nod or a little wave can do to clear things up. And look, be ready to just give up your right of way. If letting the other person go first means you avoid a crash, then that is always the right call. Remember this: it is always, always better to be safe than to be right. And I think this quote just sums it all up perfectly. Driving isn't something you do on autopilot.
It needs your full attention, and it needs you to actively help create a safe space for every single person out there on the road.
So now you have the code, right? You know the hierarchy of control, you know the core priority rules. The real test is putting it all into practice. So on your next drive, don't just see an intersection, try to read it. Ask yourself, how can I make my next move super clear? How can I be more predictable for other drivers? That's how we all do our part. Thanks for tuning in.